Hello again, everyone. Good afternoon. So I think we can start. So yeah, as usual, this webinar would be recorded and it will be posted on our YouTube page. So we have this EnGenius APAC on YouTube. So basically, all our webinars are archived there. All our other webinars are also archived on the EnGenius Academy. So if you guys are not familiar with EnGenius Academy yet, this is where you can take certifications, as well as find or register to new webinars as well as previous webinars. By the way, we have one new certification, which is for our gateway. So basically right now we have four certifications, one for pre-sales, another one focused on wireless. That's more on the technical side. We have switching and then we have routing as well, which would cover the gateway side. If you guys have any questions, you can just type it on chat and you can use the QA function on Zoom as well. By the way, I think this would be the last webinar for the year. Yeah, so if you have any questions, you can just let us know. We have more webinars definitely coming next year. Especially we plan to launch a lot of new models. If you've seen our website recently, we have revamped a few things there. Like for example, we have recategorized our switches, so we'll be releasing a lot more switches next year, starting with aggregate switches. We'll be having core switches as well, so do stay tuned for that. Anyways, so today I'll be discussing about a new solution. So this is a new launch for EnGenius. It's a new set of product, new lineup, and yeah, let me go ahead. So before I go to the new solution, I want to talk about EnGenius Cloud first, just in brief. So we launched EnGenius Cloud as an AI-driven platform to make it easier for clients to manage and monitor different sites, different networks, without having to worry about the server, without having to worry about installation and all that. Basically, you just have to focus on the devices, focus on your settings, configuration. If you're an MSP, if you're a managed service provider, usually this is what you would need. Something that you can easily group, you can easily monitor. If you have multiple locations, multiple sites, you can easily troubleshoot and manage them over the cloud. We've also expanded the cloud portfolio quite a bit. Now we have security access points as well as the gateway, which I'll talk in brief as well. So some of the features that we have for EnGenius Cloud is one is, for instance, we have MyPSK. We have different authentication options. We have, let's say, for example, AD integration, Google LDAP. Coming towards the end of the year would be Microsoft Azure integration as well. So any type of authentication that the client would need, I think we have it all. If we need to integrate with a third-party hotspot gateway provider, let's say for third-party OTP or 2FA, we can do that as well. So just let us know your requirement, or let our distributors or sales team, local sales team know, so that we can help you on that. So on the cloud as well, like I mentioned, we also launched the security access points. So the security access points give clients more security. Basically, it secures the wireless side by having AirGuard. So EnGenius AirGuard is our WIDS, WIPS system. So this is the wireless intrusion detection as well as prevention system. Basically, it protects your wireless network from man-in-the-middle attacks, RF jamming, evil twins, those that try to copy your SSID to spoof the client and make them connect there to steal their data. So we can help in preventing that from happening. So also in AirGuard, let's say one of the IT staff forgot to configure the access point. It's left in open SSID, open password. Then the administrator would be alerted as well, so that he can take action and prevent clients or unsuspecting people connect there. So the security access point, apart from, of course, the AirGuard side, we also have other tools built in, like zero-weight DFS, which allows you to utilize the full 5 gigahertz spectrum. Real-time RF analyzer, which works like a handheld external analyzer or a scanner. Usually those can cost quite a lot, maybe $2,000 or $3,000 a piece. So this one is built in on the access point, so you can quickly see if you have loopholes, coverage holes, dead spots, or a lot of interference or noise in the area, so that you can adjust on the fly in real time. And then we also have BLE built in on this access point. which allows you to do location-based services, footprint tracking, or let's say, for instance, marketing push through Bluetooth. So the recent launch that we did for the cloud about 2 months back is the EnGenius Security Gateway. This is the ESG 510, our first model to be released. Basically, it's a pack gateway system with security functions, VPN functions, and all that. So I just want to highlight on a few functions on the ESG 510. It has multi-gig ports to minimize bottleneck. So that means from your ISP side going to your LAN ports, they're all multi-G, 2.5 gigs, so that you wouldn't have any bottleneck there from the WAN side going to the LAN, because most other players in the market, maybe they would have 2.5G WAN, but all their LAN ports are just 1 gig. So you aren't really utilizing it all. You have to split the load on different devices. Or some brands would have multi-G LAN, but not on the WAN side. So this one has it both for WAN and LAN. And of course, we have the core gateway functions like failover and load balancing. We also have a third failover option. If let's say you have an LTE dongle, 3G, 4G, or 5G dongle that you can use as a third backup. Let's say if ISP 1 and 2 goes offline, then you still have a USB dongle to provide internet temporarily. Auto Mesh VPN is also one highlight of the ESG 510. What it is basically it simplifies the VPN setup. If you have, for instance, you have maybe 5 branches, and then each of your branch, you want to connect them through VPN. Usually you would need to gather all the data, WAN IP, LAN IP, security information, encryption type, and all that, list them out so you can configure the sites one by one. In Auto Mesh VPN from EnGenius Cloud, it's as simple as enabling VPN and then just selecting where you want to connect to. That's it. So the rest will be taken care of by the system, by the cloud. Since it's all managed by the cloud, since it's a cloud-based gateway, it will know the WAN IP. If it changes to a different WAN IP, it will just take care of it. The system would forward it to its peers. And then all the security information would also be automatically be encrypted. So it's like setting up mesh, but in a very, very, very simple way. It's a great tool. Hopefully you guys can test that out as well. So with the access points, the switches, and the gateway for the cloud, basically this unifies the whole system. It makes it a lot easier for system integrators or MSPs to manage the full solution just through the same interface. And everything is on the cloud. So if they need to do troubleshooting, if they need to monitor specific sites, they can quickly do that wherever they are. We also have, of course, the Cloud2Go app for them to easily monitor all the sites that they have. And of course, we have multi-tenancy as well, so that you can dedicate different administrators or viewers to manage different sites for you. So EnGenius Cloud, as you can see, based on the tools, based on the features, the functions that we have, it's catered more towards the SME or enterprise clients, the big boys, the big clients. But what if you want to deploy for maybe SMB, for smaller deployments, or for clients on a budget? So we have something that would fill that need. So let me introduce EnGenius FIT. So as I mentioned, EnGenius FIT is the new solution that we have for EnGenius. And it caters for SMB, the SMB market, for clients that have limited IT staff. They don't have maybe the resources to deploy a Wi-Fi system. Maybe they don't have the time as well to learn about all the Wi-Fi stuff. They just want something that's easy to set up, that they can use an application which has a setup wizard without having to go through rigorous trainings, learning this and that, or without having to hire specialized IT personnel just to deploy the Wi-Fi system. So for EnGenius FIT, of course, we would have our Wi-Fi 6 models as well, indoor and outdoor. We have layer 2 plus switches and PoE plus as well to support the power requirement for Wi-Fi 6 devices. And we're going to have new management options. Later on, I'll discuss more about this. So basically, this is catered for clients who want an easy way to set up the device. They're still going to have different options, because with the same hardware, with the same APs and switches, you have a choice to either to manage them from the app, which we call FIT Express, or from an on-premise hardware device, which we call FIT Controller. Of course, these devices under EnGenius FIT, they are also capable to work in standalone mode, meaning if you just need one or two devices, maybe your client has a very small requirement, so they can easily set up the APs just from a browser without having to work on any controller. If they start to, let's say, expand further, they're adding more branches or maybe more sites, more locations, then they can expand just by using the app. So it's easy to transfer devices as well between these different management options. So as I mentioned, we have two main controllers under EnGenius FIT. One is FIT Express, which is app-based. We're also going to launch a portal for FIT Express, meaning whatever you can see from the app, you would be able to manage from the browser as well as basically it will be in sync. So use the same account to log in from the app, as well as on the browser, you'd be able to see the same data back and forth. And then we have the Fit controller, which is more for corporate clients. If they have multiple networks, then this may be better for them. So Fit controller is more on-prem. So basically the devices would be on the same network, and then the clients would have the option to manage the devices. They would have different interfaces, but work on the same hardware. So again, you can freely switch depending on what the need of the client is between Fit Controller or Fit Express. In summary, I would say that Fit Express is something that's simple to set up. The language that we choose for different options for Fit Express is also simplified to make it easier for the client to understand. But if they want a bit more control, let's say they want to set up isolation on one SSID, the other one don't have, and then maybe they want to disable band steering on certain SSIDs while some of them have it enabled, or maybe one of them only have one radios running, then maybe for further customization, they can use Fit Controller. So another quick summary between these two is that under Fit Express, clients are able to manage up to 30 devices and 8 networks. So let's say, for example, one account. In each account, you have 8 networks. Under each of those networks, you can manage 30 devices. So roughly about 240 APs and switches you can manage under Fit Express. For Fit Controller, it's a bit more scalable. So you can manage up to 100 devices for Fit Controller. This would be the first model, by the way, for our on-prem launch. It's going to be called the Fit 100. So technically, you can manage 100 APs and switches under Fit Controller. But we plan to release a larger hardware in the future, maybe 1,000 or 2,000. I don't know the exact value yet, but you would be able to do that. Of course, we have standalone mode, Fit Express, Fit Controller. We have another option for specialized clients. So let's say you have a requirement that needs on-premise management, but they want a large number of devices to manage, maybe let's say 4,000 units. At that point, usually I would recommend them to use EnGenius Cloud because that can cater to a limited number of devices. But if the client really requires that, hey, I don't want to put it on the cloud, maybe I can host it on my private cloud, or maybe I can host it on my own data center. So what options do we have? So we have a virtual machine version of this Fit controller, which we call Virtual FitCon, which the client can use. So if you have a requirement that needs maybe 4,000 or 5,000 devices, and they really want it to be on-prem on the local side, installed by them and managed by them, then we have that option. You can just let us know, let our sales team know, so that we can give you information on how it goes, how to set that up. So again, I would say Fit Express is built for clients who have 0 or less IT on the location. They want something that they can easily monitor and manage without having to go through much technical jargon. If let's say they want to set up a guest Wi-Fi network, it would be as easy as just walking through the setup. Later on, I'll show you a quick demo of this as well. So under Fit Express, you have easy onboarding, easy configuration. Everything is simplified for the client to make it easy for them to understand what's going on. For a Fit controller, this is where the client has more device they want to use. Like I mentioned, if they need 100 devices or if they want to scale further up, they can use the Fit controller. But both of these does not use any licensing at all. So basically, this is really catered for small to medium businesses, wherein they don't want to worry about monthly recurring costs. So everything is just there on the box. Of course, it's supported with future firmware upgrades as well, but they don't have to worry about any recurring fees. For the hardware side, like I mentioned, we have a layer 2 plus and PoE plus switches. So they also have SFP ports as well if they need the bandwidth for multiple switch connections. We have Wi-Fi 6 indoor models, 2x2 and 4x4, and then we have an outdoor Wi-Fi 6 models. So in the future, we'll be releasing more under the EnGenius FIT series. So with the FIT Express, like I mentioned, sorry, I'm being repetitive here, but basically this is targeted for clients who want to make everything simple. They want something that's simple to use, quick to set up. If they have less ITs, one thing about FIT Express is that you can do remote management as well, since you technically it's cloud based, so you can access the controller from anywhere. You can access it from your app. You can access it from your tablet. And by early next year, we'll be launching the portal as well. So you can also be able to access it from any browser. So with that in mind, you can do remote management easily with FIT Express. So it's onboarding is very simple as well. Basically, they just when they do the deployment, they just have to scan the QR or key in the serial number, configure, and then from there they can straight away do monitoring and troubleshooting. So Fit Express also have troubleshooting tools in real time, like the ping test, trace route, etc. So since the clients are able to manage multiple networks as well from their own account, they can cater to multiple locations. If they have multiple branches, or if let's say they want to consolidate all branches into one network, they can do that as well. So they'd be able to apply multiple settings easily using Fit Express. So sample use case for Fit Express is, for example, a retail shop. They just want to, or a coffee shop, let's say, they want a simple Wi-Fi system. Maybe they want to separate guests and their internal staff. Maybe they have a POS system. Maybe they want to set up a simple authentication method as well, maybe through Facebook Wi-Fi, Facebook 2.0. So they just have to log in using their Facebook credentials. So they'd be easily they can easily do that through Fit Express. Through Facebook Wi-Fi, of course, they can get further statistics. They can do time capping as well. So through Fit Express, although the configuration is simple, it still has the features that we have under Enterprise or under SME. For instance, you can still limit the bandwidth per user. You can also enable ACL if you want to block suspicious clients. So another use case here, like I mentioned, you can do remote management for Fit Express. So let's say the same business owner expands, they add more branches, they add multiple locations, they add more APs. So it's easy for them to just add that from the app. If it's just a new access point, you can just add it in, and then it will just carry over the settings from the previous setup that they did. So it also has troubleshooting tools built in. So if they need support, and let's say they want to test out the branches network, they don't have to send people on site because they can do that from the access point, assuming that one of them is still accessible. And then we also support multi-tenancy under Fit Express, so that the owner, the administrator, can designate sub-admins to handle different sites or different networks that they have. So being an app-based management controller, of course, you get push notifications as well if one of the devices, one of the APs or switches go offline. Okay, so some highlights for Fit Express. Again, it's easy to do onboarding. It's as easy as powering up the device, ensuring that it's connected to the internet. There would be instructions as well through the app. There will be a setup wizard, and then scan the device, and that's it. straight away have your Wi-Fi connection. So I mentioned earlier that the menu have been revamped for Fit Express. So it will be simpler to set up a, for example, staff network or guest network. So if the client is not aware what does L2 isolation mean or band steering mean, so that is just automatically enabled on the background. For instance, if he selects staff network, that would have your normal SSID. You would have an option for different security types. If you select guest, then you would have isolation. You can, of course, create multiple Wi-Fi or SSID profiles still under FIT Express. And then we also support the latest security, which is WPA3 Enterprise and other security tools that we have available, like what we have for EnGenius Cloud. So under the guest network, basically again, it automatically isolates the network so that you would just have access to the internet. You wouldn't be able to like communicate or pass messages to each other under the hotspot under the guest network, and you wouldn't be able to access the staff network. So captive portals is also supported under Fit Express, and of course, it is customizable. So if the client has a again a cafe, a restaurant, a shop that he wants to customize a page, maybe he wants to upload the logo, he wants to change the background or the text or the disclaimer, he can easily do that from the app or from the web browser as well. Real-time monitoring tools are also available. If let's say they want to review the traffic of a certain SSID, or they want to check which branch is consuming the most bandwidth, so they can easily do a review from the app. If they want to run troubleshooting tools, or if they want to see who are connected to the network, they will also have a client list that will be displayed for them as well. For the Switch side, we also brought our cloud features under Fit Express, so they would easily be able to monitor their EnGenius Fit switches. So they also see which ports are utilized, what speed the port is running, which one is running PoE, how much PoE data I have, how much PoE budget I have left, and they can also do advanced settings such as PoE scheduling. So ACL, like I mentioned, is also in Fit Express. So if a client wants to block particular clients, it's as easy as kicking them off from the list or blocking them so that they wouldn't be able to reconnect. So with Fit Express, again, you are able to manage up to eight different networks, and you can assign different admins per networks. Let's say, for example, you have different branches, different sites, so you can easily add that on your account and easily switch that from the app view. So from there, you can also designate different administrators to manage individual networks or your whole account. So these are some of the tools that you can use from Fit Express. So these are all triggered either from the switch or from the access point. So let's say you want to review the port activity, you want to check your cable if it's running fine. Do you have a break on some of your ports? If you want to run simple ping tests, you also can see the current usage of your access point in terms of the CPU and memory, as well as your client list on the switch. So that's all displayed in real time as well, so that the administrator or the person troubleshooting can easily work on what's going on. Okay, so let me show you guys a quick demo. Let me just prepare it. Give me a minute. I'm not sure if it's sharing properly. Hope you guys can see my phone right now. So we have this Fit Express application. It's now available on iOS and Android. But I think we have not launched or released the Fit devices yet. If you need the pricing for EnGenius Fit access points, it should be available through our distributors, I think, by tonight. So you guys can check that out. So with the Fit Express, let me just log in. Just a second. Let me get the login info. So I have a demo account here. Okay, some of these are also demo networks. Hopefully there are some activity which we can view here. Let me just wait for it to load up. Okay, I think nobody's connected to this access point right now. I'm not sure if it's a dummy AP or a real one, but basically this is how the app would be presented. So from here, you have an option to quickly check which network you're in, to add a network, and to check how many networks are there, so you can easily switch between them. And then from here, you have access to your devices. Like I mentioned, you can easily do troubleshooting. There's a switch here as well. So for the Fit AP, you are able to do a basic connectivity test or check a quick speed test. Activity would bring you to your CPU and channel utilization. So I can see that this area have very high interference on 2.4. 5 gig you can check as well. And you can also run a basic speed test. It would auto detect the system here. Let me check real quick. I'm not sure which one is the fastest. Yeah, so all these tools are presented in real time, so you can easily check what's going on. So client list, nobody's connected. So unfortunately, I'm not able to show you guys that. On the Wi-Fi side, you can, of course, create multiple SSID profiles still. So from here, let's say I want to create a new profile. You can just select put your Wi-Fi name. Like I mentioned, it's simplified. So if it's a staff network, that means it's open. From there, you can select the encryption type. If you're going to use WPA3, if you're going to use a Radius server, let's say the client has an external Radius server, you can select that from here. If it's a guest network, then isolation will automatically be enabled. And then the client has to just select what authentication type I need to use, or if I want to use a portal. Portal, of course, means captive portal, wherein you have a landing page, which is also customizable. If you want to use Facebook Wi-Fi, you can easily change that from here as well. So for the portal template, you can easily modify that from here too. There would be more customization options once we launch the web-based access for EnGenius FIT Express. So if you want to add a new device, it's as easy as pressing the plus button. It's going to give you instructions to make sure that this device is connected to the internet, has an IP address, and then from there you can just click on add. You can scan the device using a camera, or you can just type in the serial number as well. So from there, you have further adjustments as well. Let's say for the switch side, you can adjust your VLANs. You can still customize other options, like for example, your channel, if you want to specify that. Transmit power, radio settings, you can all customize that as well. I just saw a lot of questions. Don't worry, guys. I'll go through that later on. So basically, yeah, Fit Express is a simple way for clients to manage their EnGenius Fit set of access points. So again, as mentioned, in any point in time, the client can switch to a different management platform. If let's say they need a bit more customization, and they already have EnGenius Fit devices, they can use the next controller which we have, which is the Fit controller. So Fit controller is a bit different in terms of management and control and monitoring as well. It's more similar to what we have under our enterprise product, which is EnGenius Cloud, in which you have this interface which gives you control and customization, as well as more tools that you can access. So Fit controller here, we have a hardware-based system or a VM-based system, like what I mentioned. If you guys have a special request for a more number of devices you want to manage, but requires on-prem controller, then we have that as well. So Fit controller is catered towards more corporate clients, maybe enterprise light clients who need more control as well as management. Fit controller is easy to set up. It's plug and play. So if you guys are familiar to the old controller that we had, we call that SkyKey 1. So it's similar in sense that you can just plug it on the network, power it up by PoE. From there, you can access your Fit controller from a browser. So the Fit controller is an enterprise grade management platform, and you can also, of course, use this as your main controller for both your switches and access points. It has a customized hardware that's built for 100 device management, the first version, and then from there, basically you can do quick installation. So again, we'll be coming up with bigger boxes. I'm not sure yet on how many APs or switches you can manage under that, but of course it would have faster or higher versions of CPUs and memory so that it can handle that load as well. So with EnGenius Fit controller, one difference with the Fit Express is that you can have multiple networks. So with Fit controller, if Fit on Fit Express, you can have 8 networks. On Fit controller, you can have 50 networks. So this works well with corporate environments wherein they have different subdomains. Maybe each of their offices under the corporate center have their own network. Maybe, for example, one is for sales, one is for admin, one is for technical team, one is for the finance team. You can set them up differently per network on the site. And then if each of them have an AP or a couple of APs or a couple of switches as well, so you can divide those devices on different networks as well. So some highlights for Fit controller. I mentioned there is more customization if the device is managed under Fit controller. So again, you have, of course, your hierarchy view wherein you can manage different networks under your org or under the site itself. And then from there, you can allocate different team members to manage different networks as well. So of course, you can assign an administrator, you can assign a viewer. You have more admins that you can assign under Fit controller. So Fit controller has the real-time dashboard similar to what we have on EnGenius Cloud. So with this network health dashboard, you have your radar graph, which will tell you immediately if an AP is online or offline. You have your information on channel utilization, CPU utilization, and switch status as well. So in a glance, you would be able to see that through your browser as you access the EnGenius Fit controller. We have the topology function as well here on EnGenius Fit controller. So if you're using EnGenius Fit hardware, EnGenius Fit access points, and EnGenius Fit switches, then you'll be able to see an automated map of your network. So it will tell you where the device is plugged in, if it's running PoE, if you have redundant ports. It will give it a path on how they are interconnected to each other. And then you also have the quick views or navigation views for APs and switches, so you can easily see the current utilization. If you need to override certain parameters, you can easily do that as well from the system. On the switch side as well, you'll be able to see the full port information, what VLAN the port is running. Is it running 1000, 1 gig, 10G? Is it powering up a device? Is it blank right now, meaning is it empty? So you'd have full information in a glance. For security side, these are the stuff that you, of course, can customize on their Fit controller. For example, if you want to enable fast roaming or not, depending on the SSID, you can easily toggle that on and off. Band steering is a way that you can easily steer clients to 5 gig so that they'd have a better experience on the Wi-Fi network. So L2 isolation can be customized as well per SSID. I know some brands in the market allows you to do L2 isolation, meaning restriction on communication from wireless to wireless devices or wireless to wired devices. So some other brands in the market, they allow you to enable L2 isolation, but it applies it on the whole AP. Meaning if you have, let's say, two SSIDs, one internal, one for guests. If you only want to isolate the guest network, for other brands, that would totally isolate everything, even your internal staff. So if you have a network printer, if you have a network storage system, you won't be able to access that as well. So here under EnGenius FIT controller and EnGenius FIT Express, you can isolate that per SSID. So if your guests are isolated and you still have a staff network, your staff network would still be able to continuously access the network as usual. So for Wi-Fi management, we have more options to tweak the settings to enhance your setup for the clients. For example, client limitation, you are able to set that between 2.4 and 5 gig. We have traffic shaping per user or per SSID. Of course, you have your block list and you have your VIP list here as well. So for those who don't know, VIP list is a way so that you can bypass your captive portal. So this is very useful for smart devices. Let's say network printers, wireless printers, or smart devices, smart TV, smart watches, wherein they can authenticate on the system. Maybe they can type in the encryption. But if you have another layer of security, if you have a landing page, then those devices won't be able to authenticate. So you can tag those devices as VIPs so that they can just straight away bypass the captive portal part to connect to the network. The VIP list can also be used for wired devices. Let's say you enabled L2 isolation. So technically that would block all communication between hosts or between clients connected on that SSID. But then you have a wireless printer there that you want to give them access to. So they would be able to communicate with each other, client to client, but you want all clients to communicate to that printer. So all you need to do is mark that printer as a VIP device. If it's wired on the system, then everybody would be able to access that printer. So I think it's not listed here, but we also have advanced functions that we have under the radio settings, such as dynamic channel selection, as well as client balancing or load balancing. So this is great if you have a public network and then you have multiple APs close to each other, maybe in a function room or on a exhibition center, so that the load of the clients, the client count per AP would be divided amongst your access points. So you can easily enable that on the system as well. So for a Genius Fit controller, we also have a layer 7 awareness enabled. So you can easily view where the throughput goes, like where majority of your uploads or downloads go to. So most of the commonly used applications are tagged on the system. So you can easily see if the consumption of bandwidth goes to Google data, Netflix, consoles are also detected. iOS, Windows updates, Facebook, Spotify, Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon videos, and torrents as well. So you can quickly see where your bandwidth goes. So let me show you guys the demo for Fit Controller. Just a minute. By the way, you can access this Fit Controller demo right now just by going to fitcon-demo.engenius.ai. So from here, you can have a live demo of the EnGenius Fit controller. So this one is the Fit controller. Sorry, this one is the virtual FitCon, which can handle more devices, but it has the same interface as our on-premise hardware-based EnGenius Fit controller. So to those who are familiar with EnGenius Cloud, you would see that the interface is quite similar. So this makes it a lot easier for clients to navigate the system. So here, I think they only have one network on this site right now. So here, basically you have information on your consumption. I'm not sure if this is a live site or a simulation, but basically you would have information on your devices, APs, clients. So right now it's saying that there are more clients there are a lot of clients on 2.4. Maybe band steering is not enabled. So it also gives you information on what to do. Scrolling down, you have your information on consumption, per AP, per client, per SSID. And then top applications, I'm not sure if they enabled L7 awareness, but you would be able to see that on this portion. You can also see who are using Android, iOS, and Windows. So monitoring side, you have your APs right here. You can easily see and override certain parameters on the access point. Let's say you want to control the channel individually, you'll be able to do that. If you want to get into more details, then like what we have on our other system, you can just easily jump in and check what's going on. So switching side, like I mentioned, you can easily see the ports right here, utilization of ports. I'm just not sure if this is online. They don't see any data right now. But basically you would see the port information. You would see which ones are, which ports are online, which one is running PoE, which ports are running 10 gig, 2.5G, depending on the switch model as well. And then from here, you can easily toggle your VLAN settings. Sorry, let me go back. So you can easily modify your VLAN settings. If you want to add another VLAN, you can easily do that from here. And toggle other tools as well, such as PoE scheduling, link aggregation, and port mirroring. Okay, topology view doesn't seem to be loading right now. Let me just try to refresh. I think the team running the demo turned off some functions here. But anyways, so you would be able to see client information. Like I mentioned, your layer 7 awareness that's running right here. So here's a sample snapshot of that. So you can see your utilization depending on the application. You can do this per network or for the whole hierarchy view as well, by the way. And then for configuration, you have your usual settings. You have multiple SSID profiles, and then you can select between different authentication options. Fast roaming, W 802.11W, which is protected management frames. You can also control that from here. So we also support NAT mode on Fit controller and other items. So some options that we have for EnGenius Cloud are also here, like for instance, dynamic client VLAN pooling. We have VCMC suppression as well, which is an advanced feature on EnGenius Cloud. So bandwidth limitation can easily be set up. So this is very useful for hotspot environments or public networks, so that no single person can consume all the bandwidth that the client has. Captive portal, customizable here on the system. And you can also use external servers for authentication as well. So you can also do that here as well. So if you want to change the logo, resize it, remove it, change the text, change the background, upload a background image. You can easily do that from here. So Wi-Fi scheduling, access control. Yeah, I'm not going to go through the entire demo, but anyways, if you want to see the demo of Fit controller, you can just access it from fitcon-demo.engenius.ai. Okay, so how does EnGenius Fit Express, and Fit Controller position in our lineup? So again, for SMB deployments, clients that have less IT staff, clients that wants a simple to set up system, we have the Fit Express, which is cloud managed. So they can use this for up to 30 device management, 8 networks per account. So a total of about 240 devices. We may expand this in the future, but we'll update you guys on that as well in terms of number of device support. And then going a bit bigger, we have the EnGenius FIT controller for on-premise management. So this one is for local management for clients who wants to host the controller themselves. Maybe they want to put it on their data center, they want to put it on their server, or they want to put it on a private cloud if they're going to use the virtual system. So we have the EnGenius virtual FIT controller for that. So compared to Fit Express, Fit controller would have more customizations for clients because it's built for a more corporate environment. And then, of course, if you have clients that want all the full features of access points and switches, then we have EnGenius Cloud. So EnGenius Cloud have a limited number of devices you can manage. It doesn't matter if it's 5,000, 100,000, or more than that. The client would be able to manage that under the free license as well. So right now under EnGenius Cloud, you can manage up to 5,000 networks per organization. Again, you can create as much organizations as you want per account. And then it also supports pro features. So depending on what the client needs, from SMB, corporate up to SME or enterprise, we have the solution for the client. Common question: would EnGenius FIT devices work on EnGenius Cloud? No. So we have separate portfolio because these have separate or different software and chipsets as well. So EnGenius Cloud devices, ECS switches, ECWAPs, as well as ESG gateways would only work with EnGenius Cloud. And then for Fit Express, we have our own EnGenius Fit models, such as EWS Fit APs and EWS Fit switches. So for the full switch model lineup and access point for EnGenius FIT, you can check that out through our website, engeniustech.com.sg. So we have full detail on what models they are, the capacity, the hardware. So you'd be able to see that online. I don't have the slide for the questions, but anyways, go to your questions right now. I think there are a few here. Let me go over them. Some questions have been answered by Nancy. Thank you for that, Nancy. Okay, one question here about Fit Express. Can we select the specific, or can we specify a 5 gigahertz channel? And is there a Fit Express demo link and web UI instead by using application? So the 5 gigahertz channel can be customized. You can freely do that from the application. Sadly, we don't have a demo link for Fit Express, but the actual application is available right now under iOS and Play Store. So you can play around with it. But since you guys don't have the hardware yet, maybe you would have limited view. But anyways, the full application is right now available. So you can play around, check what options you have from there. The only thing that you will not see, since you don't have an access point or switch yet for Fit Express, are the tools, connectivity tools, connection tools, or diagnostic tools. But the rest of the app information, like for example, SID setup, channel setup, you should be able to see and check what options are available. Okay, we have a question right here. I'm not sure if this is for Fit Express or FitCon, maybe just EnGenius Fit in general. Can it work even if there's no static IP on each branch for VPN setup like site to site or multi-sites? Oh, okay. I think this is for the ESG, EnGenius Cloud Gateway. So yeah, for a VPN setup, you don't have to have a public static IP from your ISP. It can be dynamically assigned by your ISP. If it's, for example, ESG to ESG, EnGenius Security Gateway to EnGenius Security Gateway, if ever the IP addresses change, the public IP, the cloud system would just update each peer so that they would be or they would have the current updated IP address. There's another question here for the ESG 510. For a site-to-site auto mesh VPN, is it able to ping local IP of each other? So yeah, definitely. So it's like your normal setup, but it tries to automate it. Just a well. Sorry about that. So yeah, auto mesh VPN works like a normal VPN setup, where if you connect, you would be able to access files from the other branch, or depending on what they allow you to access, you'd be able to ping each other. You would be able to print from the other side of your VPN connection. The only difference is that it makes the setup a lot easier, since it also works on a mesh topology, meaning you can have multiple branches linked to each other, as well as it works in a failover mode. So if one of your branches goes offline, you would still remain connected to the rest of your branches. One question here for Fit Express: does it support mesh setup? So yes, all our EnGenius products from EnGenius Cloud to EnGenius Fit supports mesh. So you can easily set up mesh connections using Fit Express as well. Another question here is about the hardware. The products look the same. Would you be able to change the firmware? Or I think the question is for compatibility, like from Cloud to Fit Express. Although the hardware appears to look the same, there are differences inside on the chipset level. So because of that, Fit Express would not be able to be reflashed to work with EnGenius Cloud and vice versa. But yeah, we try to keep the design language the same across our solutions. So there are slight differences on the model name, serial numbers, as well as the logos. So that would signify, and the packaging as well. So that would signify if the device belongs to Fit Express lineup or EnGenius Cloud lineup. One question here is about Fit Express. APs that deploy in Fit Express, can it have its own separate DHCP server, especially for guest access? And is the IP given by the cloud controller itself? So yeah, we also support NAT mode under Fit Express. That's supported under the access point itself. So you can assign DHCP IPs from the AP to be given to your guest network. And the IP addresses is provided by the access point. So it's not from the cloud or the controller, but it's provided by the AP itself. Can we rename the client? So yeah, you are able to rename the client or add an alias to easily identify the person. Because some connections, for example, from Android devices, they can be Android dash and then a bunch of random numbers. So you can rename the client to easily identify the person. Another question is about Fit hardware. Can it manage Fit devices in standalone mode? So yes, you are able to manage EnGenius Fit devices, APs, and switches in standalone mode. So let's say you don't want to use a controller. Maybe you only have 1, 2, or 3 devices. That using a controller may be more taxing because you only want to set up a few. So in any point in time, you can just factory reset the unit as well to work in standalone mode. So from there, you can straight away access the units from a browser. One question here is, can we get client logs pertaining to frequent disconnection, low throughput related issues, capturing client's device MAC address type for this proactive monitoring? Where can we identify packets based on these logs? So depending on the platform that you're using, you can enable traffic logs for monitoring. So basically, traffic logs would give you information on what the client activity is, which when IP they access. This would all be in raw data, so we'll be able to review that. But in terms of frequent disconnections and throughput related issues, that can be a bit broad. So frequent disconnections can be because of intermittent connections, can be because of interference, or it can be because of the distance from the AP. Maybe the AP have been set to low power, which results to low throughput as well. Or maybe the setting of the AP is a bit high in the bitrate options. So there are a lot of issues that may cause frequent disconnections, which mainly focuses on interference. So maybe that's one thing that you can check. Devices MAC address, definitely that's on the logs. That's also on your client list as well. Okay, one question here is in regards to network. So what do we mean, or what do I mean when I say network? So when I say network, this can be your group of devices, your access point group. So if the access point belongs on a single network, they would carry the same SSID, same settings, same monitoring information. So that can be the same branch, or that can be multiple branches as well. So for example, one branch has 30 access points. So you can unify the settings so that they all have the same configuration. But if, for example, you have 30 branches and then each branch have a single AP, so they can still belong on the same network, meaning they have different WAN IPs, different public IPs, but they still have the same configuration, same SSID, same password. So regardless of where you go, if you're an administrator of all those branches, you can easily connect um, just by having the same SSID and password. So it would be up to the person managing the network if the network would have devices that belong to different branches or just the same branch. But one account under Fit Express can have 8 different networks under that. One question here. Is it possible to convert EWS 357 to EWS 357 Fit? Good question. So we currently have an existing model which falls under EnGenius and Sky, which is the EWS 357 AP. 357 AP is a 2x2 Wi-Fi 6 model for EnGenius, and it's an indoor model. We have a new model upcoming for EnGenius Fit. To reduce the confusion, it's going to be named 357-Fit. Main difference between the two are the chipset used as well as the memory inside the unit. So is it possible to convert existing EWS AP to work with Fit? Yes. If the model is an EWS 357 AP, EWS 377 AP, or EWS 850 AP, if it's the latest hardware iteration, you would be able to convert this to work with EnGenius Fit. But it would only work with two platforms, EnGenius Fit Controller and EnGenius Fit Virtual Controller. Sadly, it would not work with EnGenius Fit Express because of the how the serial number was done, and how it integrates with the system. So old NSky EWS Wi-Fi 6 models would be compatible with the current new platform, which is EnGenius Fit Controller and EnGenius Virtual Fit Controller. So hopefully I answered that question and didn't confuse you more. So let me just go through the other questions. Can I have your email ID in case we need anything? Yeah, sure. I'll leave you our contact information, and you can also access. Sorry, just reading through. Yeah, somebody was asking about our contact number. So yeah, we can provide that information later on. If you have any questions, you can contact our regional sales as well as our local system integrators or distributors too. So they would be able to answer any questions that you have as well. Okay, one question here is about, sorry, let me scroll up. Okay, one question here is about on-premise management. So what if the client has an on-premise requirement and their number of APs exceeds 100? So how can that be managed? So we have an option. Again, it's called EnGenius Virtual FitCon, but it's only available by request. So our sales team would be the ones to grant access to that, depending on their approval. But we have that option for clients who wants to manage more than 100 devices, and they want to manage on premise. So just let us know about your requirement, and then we can assist you with that. Does Fit support mesh setup? Yeah. EnGenius Fit supports mesh. Clarification here for Fit Express. So Fit Express works with 30 devices and 8 networks. Is that per network 30 or 30 devices? I'm sorry, I got confused by the question. But yeah, Fit Express can manage 30 devices per network. And then per account, you can have 8 different networks. So that means 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. You can have 240 devices per account under Fit Express. Okay, so I think I've just gone through all you guys' questions. By the way, if you guys want more information about EnGenius Fit, we have again revamped the website. So EnGenius Fit have been added there. So the solution and the differences between EnGenius Fit controller and EnGenius Fit Express would be there as well. So if you want more information as well as the hardware side, please go to our website to check that out. Okay, so if no more further questions, so thank you everyone for attending our webinar for today. So again, this will be a last webinar for the year. So I'll see you guys again next year. And I hope you guys have a good holiday. So thank you guys for attending. Have a good day.